Thank you. Your Excellency, Azali Assoumani, the President of the Union of Comoros and Chairperson of the African Union, Your Excellency, William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, our warmly welcoming host, Your Excellency, Musa Faki Mohammed, the Chairperson of the Commission of the African Union, and my brother, Excellencies, women and youth of Africa, distinguished delegates, Asante Sana. It is really a great honor to join you at the 5th mid-year coordination meeting of the African Union, the regional economic communities and the regional mechanisms. I would like to thank the Government of Kenya for the warm welcome home and the African Union for inviting me to share some reflections. This year's meeting provides us with yet again another unique opportunity to consolidate common ground in shaping and implementing Africa's narrative to meet the ambitions of Agenda 2063 and the aspirations of African people. Excellencies, today our world continues to face unprecedented crises, from the socio-economic impacts of COVID-19, a climate emergency, and the knock-on effects of the war in Ukraine. None of us need reminding that Africa played no part in creating any of these challenges. Unmet commitments by the international community to financing, to climate action and adequate humanitarian responses have further aggravated the obstacles to the efforts made by Africa and its leaders to implement Agenda 2063. Meanwhile, we see renewed conflict and extremist terrorism are wreaking havoc across the continent, resulting in lost decades of development and millions of displaced persons and refugees. These calamities are leaving a generation of our young people, especially women, with the anxiety of a tortured present and a deeply uncertain future. Let me salute you as African leaders. Against this challenging global and continental backdrop, you continue tirelessly, day after day, here and abroad, to make the powerful case for Africa. Africa as the new horizon of possibility and as the source of solutions for its own challenges and those of the planet. Excellencies, you have the United Nations' complete solidarity. In just one important demonstration of this support and solidarity, the Secretary General continues to call the G20 for meaningful climate action that will end the addiction to fossil fuels so that we may address the imperative of a 1.5-degree world. He also continues to call loudly for the SDG stimulus, tackling debt distress and increasing fiscal space through the reallocation of additional SDRs to the African Development Bank initiative, and the reform of the current global financial architecture, which is today morally bankrupt. Excellencies, if African solutions to African challenges and opportunities are to be more than a slogan, we must have a strong voice in the G20, defining Africa's innovation and ideas, and we must also have unified action by African leaders to disrupt the unacceptable status quo. We applaud the strong voices of President Ruto, President Macky Sall, and President Ramaphosa at the recent summit of a new global financial pact in Paris. You're here today to discuss, among other very serious issues, the African Union's reforms, the second 10-year plan of Agenda 2063, governance issues, and the work of the regional economic communities and mechanisms. As you do so, you will need to ensure that your cohesive voice and common positions come together to shape the upcoming G20 meeting, the UN General Assembly, and the SDG Summit. It will also inform the Climate Action Summit, the commemoration of the UN Declaration of Human Rights at 75, and the World Bank IMF fall meetings on reform, and then the last of the meetings of the year, the Paris climate stocktaking at COP28. The United Nations remains committed to accompanying the continent with the framework of Agenda 2030 as it informs Agenda 23, but also as you navigate these international rough waters and through these milestone summits. Finally, Excellencies, allow me to end with a plea to all of you. As an African woman and a very proud Nigerian, mother of 6 and grandmother of 4, I have an intergenerational stake in Africa. The continent faces a moment of reckoning when the world appears to take its gaze off Africa. We may appear down, but we are far from out. And as our leaders, we continue to count on you to forge a path towards delivering the vision for Africa that is enshrined in the 2063 agenda. Excellencies, this will not happen unless we stand united, with no light between you. As we say in Africa, if the wall cracks, the lizard will enter. And it needs you to be determined to live up to the courage of our convictions with a sense of urgency. It is this unity that we must draw from on the depths of Africa's turbulent history, but also our shared values and a sense of common purpose. Ultimately, Excellencies, it is Africa's very dignity that is at stake for us and future generations. In the words of late Kwame Nkrumah, who inspired Agenda 2063, I quote, "We in Africa, who are pressing now for unity, are deeply conscious of the validity of our purpose. We need the strength of our combined numbers to protect ourselves from the very real dangers of colonization returning in disguised forms." Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, friends, the women and youth of Africa, thank you for this opportunity, and I wish you constructive and productive meetings. Santa Sana.